you know, what's going on in society. She was, or she is actually, not was, one of the big voices of BBOG. And I should be talking to her about that. She talks a lot about gender-based violence. I should be talking to her about that. And so many more. But let me give you an insight onto where we're going to be starting today. Right, so about a week or so ago, I think it was, a young lady who actually does videos. You know, people do videos about what's going on in their community. Who does videos about what's going on in her community, did a video where she actually complained about what's going on in Sokoto, the insecurity, etc. She did all of that, and then suddenly, out of the blue, she's arrested by the police in Sokoto. Yes, you all forget Sokoto. So we're going out of Lagos right now. We are going out of the south. We're going to the north. She's arrested by the police. Having been arrested by the police, she's charged. Her family do not know. Anyway, eventually, after she's released by the police, she's then, we don't know, either thugs, we don't know who put them up to it. Anyway, she's then bundled away and she's beaten up. Her name is Amadia. And I've got Mrs. Oyebode. I don't know which one she prefers me to use. But I'm going to call her sis. She's not to the rest of you, right? I've got sis, Mrs. Oyebode Aisha, to be precise, joining me from the abroad. I'm not going to tell you where she is. She's joining in by Zoom. Sis, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today.
I'm happy to have you. It's absolutely fabulous, you know, to have you. So let's kind of start, because like I said to my listeners, and by the way, we are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook Live. So please join us. You're going to want to be part of this conversation. If you are male, you will call 0201-277-0993. If you are female, you will call 0201-465-7190. And you will be able to WhatsApp on 0809-597-5805. The young lady's name is Hamdia Sidi. Sis, tell us what you know about Hamdia Sidi's case.
So basically, what has come to our attention is that a young girl, she's obviously has the voice of a lot of the women in her community, because two of the videos that we saw in which she was speaking to them, there was quite a huge gathering of women. And basically what she was talking about is the crisis that everybody is familiar with in the northern part of the country. We now have what you call bandits, terrorists, and a lot of their ammo is actually, there's a lot of sexual and gendered violence. When some of it quite horrific. Women are being raped in front of their husbands and in front of their children. Children are being raped in front of their fathers, and so on. And so she raised her voice. And one of the things she did was to ask a question of the governor of the state, that if this was to happen to any member of your family, or if this was happening to any member of your family, would you really be that indifferent? And then the next we know is that she's been arrested. They say she's been arrested for inciting unrest, and then she was locked away. Then she was released, and then she was beaten up, and currently she's now in hiding. And so it's actually quite worrying that, you know, first and foremost, it is not, I mean, the violence in northern Nigeria is not a secret. The gendered violence in northern Nigeria is not a secret. The sexual violence that's going on in the conflicts that have arisen in northern Nigeria is not a secret. As you mentioned, we're all familiar with the abduction of the Chibok girls that happened 10 years ago. Since then, we have had thousands and thousands of women, girls being abducted from their schools. Many of them, many more have been displaced. And you know, already we have very, very dismal statistics in northern Nigeria. Child marriage is an issue. We have issues of, poverty is endemic. And of course, the most alarming one is a question, the issue around illiteracy. And that was one of the issues actually that the girl was, which for me was so spot on
Yeah.
for a young girl at that age. And what she said, these people that you see and, in a way are afraid of, the only reason why they have power is that they have Western education. She said, so all of you should make sure that you ensure that your children get a good education. There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely not. And so it makes you wonder why indeed she was arrested, because what she's saying is not rocket science. It's not a revolution. It's something we all take for granted, but however, the police accused that, well, somebody is said, according to the police, a male, not certain, is said that to have reported to the police that Amdia came to his community and said and pretended to be working for a charity, and then he suddenly heard her saying pretty much what you said, you need to stand up for yourself, women. You need to be educated. The only difference is that with you and your leaders is that they're educated. That's all. Yet she was literally arrested for that. Let me read something out, because you're part of a group of women voices who actually brought out a press release. And those of you who haven't seen that press release, let me read out a part of the press release. I love the beginning. It starts with a quote by Sir Amadou Bello, Southern of Sokoto. And the quote is, leadership is not about the position one holds, but about the responsibility one bears to serve and uplift others. That is so familiar. And that actually, incidentally, applies to the whole of the country, right? It should literally be plug and play. But we find in Nigeria that that's not the case, and in particular in Sokoto. But I'll read out a part of your press release. In a democracy, the voice of the people should not be silenced, especially when it calls to attention to the safety and dignity of the vulnerable. Yet, so we find facing a grim and troubling reality where this very principle is under the interest of a young woman, Amdia Sidi, who bravely demanded accountability from her governor and northern leaders, espouses a shameful and oppressive mindset at high level. She dared to ask them of her state, Aliyu Ahmed Sokoto, a simple question. If he and his family face the horrific violence as born countless women across the north, women who have been violated in unspeakable ways, sometimes in front of their families, will he, the government, remain so different? And that's the thing. One does ask them, if these things were happening, the weapon was winters is something very nice. Would our leaders be indifferent? Would they be so lackadaisical? Which brings me to the part about, why do you think that the immediate response, especially women, we have to say especially women, when we challenge, when you're citizens, women challenge the status quo, the governance, and the fact that let's be in effect, I think they immediate always to use the arm of law in a most illegal fashion.
Because Ali just elected. They are entitled. There's a culture of entitlement. So I'm entitled to resources. I'm entitled to votes. I'm entitled to unquestioned loyalty. I'm entitled to behave with impunity. That really is the word for me that really sums it up. It's a culture of entitlement. And it is something that we have to continue to challenge. And that is why we're going to stand behind Hamdia Sidi to make sure that she's able to speak out. Women should be able to speak out. I'm telling you, since the Chibok incident, what we're talking, the extent of the gendered violence is horrific. These will, and she actually gives examples within her community of the kind of violence that is going on. We hear of women who's not, it's in the public domain. Mothers whose children are thrown into fires and burnt alive. This is the kind of terrorism we're seeing. A couple of months back, the children were babies were lined up, they were shot, and they were put on the back of their mothers, and their mothers were asked to put them on their backs and take them back home. What we're dealing with is a humanitarian crisis. And rather than for the governor to come out and, deal with this with empathy, with, concern, with respect, he's upset that she's speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's just entitlement.
It's entitlement. You mentioned the BBOG, the Bring Back Our Girls. That's the over 3. It's incredible that it's been almost a decade now that they've been gone, right? And here we are, and none of them, it's not all of them that we've gotten back. Some have returned, some have made it abroad. As somebody who was part of the activism, the campaign to bring them back, give us an idea of what the status of BBOG is right now, especially the girls who haven't been returned, the parents, their mothers, and what's going on with them.
So at the last count, about 89 girls are yet to return. And if you imagine that 219 were taken to Sambisa Forest, that's still a huge number.
It's huge.
There's a general view that at least a third of them may have been killed or they died in captivity. But what about the remaining? And the same culture of silencing, when the mothers, there's several associations that they belong to, but there's a particularly strong one, the one of the Chibok Girls Parents Association. When the mothers start to speak out, they also face the same, attempt at censorship. Why should women not be able to speak out about their pain points? So my question is that what exactly in what Hamdia CD, or what exactly in the demands of the mothers of the Chibok girls that are yet to return, that is not true?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yes.
If you come
Yes.
and say, okay, these people are telling a lie, then that's a different question. They're telling the truth. So rather than deal with the fact that you have not dealt with the issue, right? You are focused on trying to censor or silence the person with so much violence. What we're talking about is the safety and dignity, as we say, of vulnerable people within our community. That's the primary responsibility of government, is to protect everybody, but more importantly, to protect the weak and the vulnerable, not to exacerbate the situation. So how do we keep having this very oppressive mindset?
Yeah.
And it's actually quite shameful, because you'd have thought that in this day and age, at the highest levels of leadership, we expect better, and we should be able to get better.
We absolutely should be able to get better. One of the things you said is the lack of support. Are the parents of the girls, the ones that have not returned, are they getting any kind of government support at all? And if so, in what shape?
Not as far as I know. There's no structured support. So there might be support in terms of perhaps once in a while, they get given gifts, or they get the opportunity to probably go and speak with the leadership. But given what we're talking about in terms of the magnitude of the loss, they're not getting the support. And also, one of the things, I'm sure everybody is also aware that the reason why food is so expensive now is not only about the transportation, it's because farmers cannot go to the farm. Now, a lot of these communities are farming communities. So when these women are displaced, whether it's in Borno State, whether it's in Sokoto State, whether it's in Yobe State, what tends to happen is that they cannot farm. So which means that there's now overwhelming hunger and poverty on top of all the challenges that they have to deal with. These women have no information whatsoever. They are also afraid. You get to a point where sometimes, because when you think about, these kind of horrific situations, especially when it has with security, the only person or the only body, or the only group that can give you protection is actually the government. It's only the government that can go and bring back the remaining Chibok girls in reality. And so there's that fear to challenge them. Why should we be afraid to challenge people that we have put in power to serve us? Hamdia Sidi in her video said to the governor, you came to us to ask for our votes. In some cases, you came in your car, you drove to us. In some places, you could not drive to. You came by motorcycle. Places where you could not come to by motorcycle, you walked, you came on foot. I mean, that, those really, really deep words. And we gave you our vote. You were popular. We wanted you to lead us. This cannot be how you are going to lead and govern us. She's entitled That's her right. If the leadership is that sensitive, then they shouldn't run for office. It's that simple. It's a democracy.
Absolutely. And this is the thing, that ego, is it the ego that's literally, they rule with ego and they govern with ego, and therefore the immediate response when challenged is to use, is to weaponize the same structure that's actually supposed to protect us, rather than use it to protect us. Let me just, before I move on from the Chibok girls, I'd like to, if those 89 girls are still remaining out there, is government still looking for them at all?
Not as far as we know. And if they are, they're not giving us or the parents any information. So as far as we know, we don't think there's anything. Well, at least let me just use the same language I use, which is not as far as we know. And what is critical in these kind of situations is to continue to open up, keep open lines of communication. At the very least, the parents should have an indication of what is going on. They don't know what is going on.
Thank you.
So in that regard, we can assume that at least that the search is not as intense
as it was before. Thank you. We'll be right back after this break. You will be able to ask questions. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Ibode. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
If a leader is not informed, it's bound to be deformed.
So many organizations don't even have a workplace sexual harassment procedure or reporting channel. So if there's no place to even report, how do I even report these issues?
AstraZeneca and Moderna vaccines cannot be mixed.
You cannot say bring that one too.
You cannot say bring that one too. Make I just manage them. No.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's. They talk and you talk. This is Nigeria Info.
If you say no weapon fashion against me shall prosper, what about the way we are fashion against ourselves? Campaign is over. I still wonder why we keep hearing they are coming. We are about to do this and that.
The devil wants us to say that God is not good. The crisis we are in now is economic persecution.
In fact, recording it and putting it on the social media
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
To our nation, there's a reason why Nigeria's flag is green.
Lagos, get ready for a powerful year-end edition of The Round Table. This is where Nigeria's biggest radio voices, your favorite top OAPs on Nigeria Info FM, come together to dissect the most impactful stories of 2024.
The cost of electricity is going to make Nigerians more sick.
As much as the governor is saying that this is all about resource control.
You see, this public statement, of course, reflects the Nigerian mentality.
And so here we have a Nigeria where one day you speak about fuel price, the next day you must consider diesel.
Most of these governors are just there. They have no idea.
From seismic economic shifts to explosive social movements, nothing is off the table.
For 4 or 5 weeks, it was one bad story or the other.
You're beginning to wonder what the government is. Who is ensuring that the individuals...
Why would the minister walk out of view? The state minister will resume to the same office the following day.
Join us for an intense conversation, bold insights, and moments that define this unforgettable year. The Round Table, Monday, November 25th at 9 a.m. It's the ultimate gathering of Nigeria's most influential voices, all bringing their sharp takes on stories that matter. The Round Table, don't miss this dramatic rapper on Danfo FM, where 2024's biggest stories come to life. The Round Table, let's talk.
Pain Relief Patch provides effective relief for stubborn pain such as back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, and leg pain. Salon Pass is distributed by Drugstock and available in pharmacies and stores near you. Try Salon Pass today. Salon Pass does patch it. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please consult your doctor.
Ladies and gentlemen, it still is the season of giving. So says oneplay.ng. That is why they want you to dial the code *347 *88 *3#. Yes, if you want our money, dial that code. Or you could go to the website at www.oneplay.ng, as in one, the number one, play.ng. Once you get there, select Nigeria Info as your station, and just like that, your ticket will be in the draws. Of course, you have to commit the paltry sum of 500 naira to each ticket. Now, you can play as many times as possible to give yourself a bigger chance of winning. And remember that your chances of winning are pretty much the same whether you play on oneplay.ng or you use the code *347*880*3#. Now, remember that at the end of the week, there's going to be a 500,000 naira jackpot. I know it's mind blowing. You can beat that. You definitely can beat that. So your qualifying for that is dependent on you playing the game during the week. What am I trying to say? I am saying when you dial *347*880*3# from your phone or go to the website at oneplay.ng to play the one play game every day, you automatically qualify for that comes at the end of the week on Friday. Yes, it's announced on Friday. That said, ladies and gentlemen, play responsibly. Make sure you are playing with only what you can afford. And once you play, make sure you keep your phone very close because that lucky call could be coming in at any time. Yes, at any time. One play is registered under Lasho Trading Services Limited, licensed by the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Commission. Keep playing, keep winning, keep smiling to the bank.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Welcome back to Danfo Conversations right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
So, welcome back to Danfo Conversations. My name is Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. I think the hashtag is Justice for Hamdia Sidi. Justice for Hamdia Sidi. Please join because as you all know, injustice to one is injustice to all. So we all have to wake up and actually support this young lady because as it is, her case is with the lawyers. We haven't been able to speak to her lawyers, but we actually don't know her condition. Nobody's been able to get hold of her. That's just where it's at. So my guest, by the way, is my dear sister Aisha Oyebode. She's still with me. We're talking about gender-based violence, but we've broadened it to actually include the leadership in Nigeria and the accountability that our leaders owe to us, which is what Hamdia demanded and which is what she's actually has been abused, arrested, and had her rights confiscated for. So we were talking earlier about, the BBOG. Now, let's go to gender-based violence and Nigeria itself. Most people often think, because we see a lot of we would see in the news every so often, not even a lot, every so often that one adult has been convicted for raping one child, which is pedophilia, which unfortunately in Nigeria is still called child defilement, as if a child becomes poor just because the child was abused. But anyway, because people see that, they tend to say, you people are making a fuss, you women, you feminists, you're making a fuss, things are getting better. What would you say to that?
No.
Yeah.
The statistics are appalling. Okay. So there's it's a not well-known fact. Let me share it with you. This is beyond the Chibok abductions, beyond all the abductions of women and girls, close to, over in the thousands now. Do you know that also in this insurgency in the Northeast, that they've used the most number of women and girls as female suicide bombers than any other group in the entire world. Girls as young as 7. So when we are talking about gender-based violence, there's the sexual violence element of it, which is actually really high and prevalent. And usually, they tend to go together. Very rarely do see that. Then we are so it's actually systemic. It's not even so. It's not an accident. It's systemic. So yes, we try. It's a huge elephant in the room. We don't want to talk about it because it makes us all uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's why when girls like Hamdia Sidi come out, and that's why I'm actually so happy that you and I are having this conversation, Richard, because it means that it matters to you.
Absolutely.
It means that you have taken a young girl like that, and now, you have made her case, you brought her issue to the forefront. So not only are we talking about it, you're talking about it, your listeners are going to be talking about it, and I hope the whole of this country is going to be talking about it, because this girl, she'll stand up as a hero. For her to be able to speak out, especially when you come from those really, very traditional communities where women's voices are really not heard, but that is because of the extent of the violence. When you speak to women, organizations that are working in the Northeast and the Northwest, and they talk to you about the extent of the gendered violence, the extent of the sexual violence, it's not a one-off. And then the other thing that's just as alarming is the ages, is what you talk about defilement, they call it defilement of children. 2 days ago, I was speaking to a young lady who runs one of these sexual violence organizations in Lagos. She's a medical doctor, so she repairs. The child was 7 months old.
Gosh.
I mean, there's, so why are we behaving as if it's not a reality? Why are we trying to do you understand?
Of course.
Push it under the table and pretend it's not real. It's real. And now it's systemic. What we're seeing with the insurgency and banditry and terrorism is systemic. The numbers are huge. We just don't have the statistics. But there's hardly any community now that has not been touched with the extent of the sexual violence. And then when it becomes acts of depravity where you want to use it to humiliate people, where you're raping women in front of their husbands, you're raping children in front of their parents, there's something wrong with that.
And that's the thing, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because for forever, really forever, women's bodies have been used as a place of war and warfare whenever any sort of uprising, chaos and whatever, and one begins to ask, why even in peacetime, so to speak, we are talking about the fact that women's bodies are not being respected, female bodies are being abused, and to be a girl is literally to be endangered. It's almost like even in the 21st century. And do we need to look back at our laws? I know that quite a lot has changed, because of women like you, like us, constantly raising voices and demanding for better. But again, I go back to that word. Every time I'm constantly at pain to say to people, there is no such thing as child defilement. It's pedophilia. Child rape is pedophilia. When somebody rapes anybody that is underage, it is pedophilia. Why is the Nigerian society, Nigerian law, still so comfortable to actually call it defilement? Is it because there's something that becomes sort of impure about a woman, a girl, a child, the moment her body has been abused, and therefore stigmatization? What are your thoughts to that?
So you see, it goes back to what I say about that entitlement thing. There's also there's an entitlement to women's bodies, right? And when you feel entitled, you don't even try to change the language. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's important. You don't need to call it anything because, you're entitled to it anyway. And the women are not allowed to speak out, so you're not going to try and change the language. Think about it. In 2015, the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act that was passed, it's not being enforced. And if you recall, when it started, the law actually started as the Violence Against Women Act, and then it got, amended, and became Violence Against People. And even then, there's still no enforcement. And it just goes well. And then, of course, if you look at even it covers all areas that women are affected. It moves beyond sexual violence. If you look at even our representation in public life, representation in governance, in leadership, how is it possible where other countries like Rwanda are talking about 50-60%, Nigeria, I think, is below the 20% mark, and we're actually dropping year in, year out. So there's this sense of, impunity. It's almost like, I can do what I like. I don't care. Nobody is going to stand up. And that's the reason why, programs like this are important. Organizations like VIEW, which stands for Voices for Inclusion and Equity for Women, is really, really important, because we do need to continue to speak up, and we need to speak up, and we need to speak up loud and clear.
Loud and clear. And hopefully, go ahead.
Yes, we're not commodities. Nobody is entitled to our bodies. Nobody is entitled to the bodies of our children. And we need to speak out loud and clear. And we expect at a minimum that the leadership will stand up and protect those that are weak or those are vulnerable within their communities. The reason why we're seeing so much systemic failure now is because of those lack of protection in the areas that it matters.
Absolutely. Now, here's the other thing. We see these disparities, which I think you touched on before, but we're almost done. I'll let you go soon. But you've touched on it, and I'd like us to sort of unpack it a little bit more. So, we have Lagos State, who is doing very well with regards to their response to gender-based violence. There's a whole unit that was created since Ambode's time, and has been strengthened and continues to get strengthened. And they give us data. They even give us data on men who, sort of, even though albeit a minority, who suffer gender-based violence. They are very responsive. The moment you report to them, they do something about it. We also have Kayode Fayemi's area, the state, Ekiti State. Yes. Thanks to BC Fayemi, who was also very, very active in all of this. But you start to look around, and when I get messages from people in other parts of the country, especially the north, there appears not to be any kind of, government-sponsored response unit. We have in Abuja, we have Dorothy Njemazi in Abuja, but we don't have enough. Is it that the federal government needs to actually make it mandatory that every single state in Nigeria must have a gender response unit? Because right now it's left to the states to decide that they want it or not. And I think, we know what our governors are like. Some of them can't be bothered and some of them don't care, frankly.
I agree. You're absolutely right. I think it has to be mandatory. I think if we start to force it from the center, I think it will make a difference. But I also think that there's so many different ways to attack the problem. The state governors to have to rise up to the occasion. The traditional rulers to need to speak out. I think there's a lot of shame. Actually, that's part of it, and I think maybe that's what people need to put aside, and that's what this idea CD has shown us, is that there can't be shame when there's so much suffering. But there's a lot of shame around people coming out to admit that they've been sexually violated, and so one of the things that we have to start to tackle is the stigma and the shame. But people also have to understand that for society to change, you have to push the boundaries of whether it's, shame or whether it's acceptance, whether it's stigma. You have to push the boundaries. And that's all what we all need to do. And sometimes it can be difficult, and that's why we all need to support each other. But I agree, it has to be mandatory, But there also has to be a lot of the outcry from the public just needs to get louder, from within those communities, from also outside the communities. I mean, to be fair, as much as we do criticize, right? But I think successive governments are becoming more and more responsive to criticism. So, it's a start. At least there was a time when, well, you can say whatever you like. We don't care. There's nothing you can do about it. But that's different now. When we start to shout from the rooftop, they start to listen. So I think we just need to really shout much, much, much louder.
You can call us if you have any contribution, if you have any questions, 0201-277-0993. The female line, 0201-465-7190. And you can send a WhatsApp on 0809-597-585. What are your thoughts on what you've heard so far? Incidentally, says our station is possibly the only station that has a female-only line. And I remember people would say to me, what are you guys up to? What do you mean a female-only line? Well, it's actually to encourage women to call so that, they don't feel, even though we don't pick the lines, we don't choose which line we're going to pick, but by giving them their line, it encourages them and makes them feel more inclusive. Absolutely. Which takes me to that place of inclusivity. One of the things we keep hearing, Donald Trump has pretty much killed it, and this is not my foreign policy show, but I must use that man, Donald Trump, as a segue. He said no much DEI, which is inclusivity, which is equity, which is equality. And this is something that we continue to push for in Nigeria. Let me get your thoughts. And you are one of the leaders in business, in the women's space, in the, sort of activist space. Let me get your thoughts as to what you think, where you think the lot of the Nigerian women is right now in the political space.
Oh, we've been marginalized. We've been marginalized completely. Not only have we been marginalized, our representation numbers have dropped dramatically. And then on top of it, even the few that we have, I'm sure you were aware, View also came out when the Senate president denigrated Natasha. It
was awful. It was absolutely disgraceful.
Exactly. The kind of language that is used, to humiliate and embarrass and make women in these public places feel so uncomfortable that even when other women decide that they want to stand up, they look at this and they think, I really don't think I want anybody. And that's the reason why we need to stand behind them. Even Hamdia Sidi, for example, this whistleblower, because that's what she is. We need to make sure that people who stand up and blow these whistles, we give them more protection actually than other people. We need to stand behind these women.
Thank you.
That's the only way we're going to be able to do it.
Thank you. I have calls coming in. Hold on. Hello.
Good afternoon, Sister.
Good afternoon. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Mrs. Oboli calling from Ikorodu. Good afternoon to your guest.
Yes, good afternoon, Mrs. Oboli. Go ahead.
Mr. Ogi, I want to commend you for today's topic. And I want to say, it breaks my heart when women, rather than stand by themselves, allow femicide continue because of what society would say. I think it's high time, not only standing by ourselves, but we should also be able to speak up for ourselves, come around, rally around ourselves, that this is not just, the woman's place is not only in the kitchen. The woman can also complement the man. There's no power play anywhere. We're only complementing them, not, competing with them. So thank you for this topic this afternoon. I pray the women are listening, stand up for themselves, and realize that they are more than who they really think they are.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Oboli. God bless you too. Hello.
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 Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from, please?
From Surulere.
Okay, Pastor Badamosi, go ahead.
Concerning women, I think the women folk should make sure that their daughters are educated. Because what I see is that, because a lot of women suffer a lot. Even within my community here, they take their children to school, they actually suffer. Even where there's no money at home, they provide for the children. They cannot see their children cry. So, but the crux is that let our mothers make sure that their daughters go to school.
Okay.
That is it.
Thank you. Okay, hello. Hello.
Hello, Leslie. Good afternoon. This is Romeo from Isora.
Okay, go ahead, Romeo.
Yeah, so I want to commend your guest for what she's about.
Mrs. Oyebode, yes.
Yeah. our biggest problem in Nigeria, honestly, I don't know how we'll change the mindset. We had a president that said women belong in the other room.
Yes, we did.
Even when we were turning around the national anthem, their problem was to change it from motherland to fatherland. So how do we attack this mindset?
Very well said. Very well said.
Yeah, and even said, Rwanda, and this is your fault for educating me with borderland, is not a good example, because remember when you had that guy from Rwanda, he said, yes, they have women, but I asked for the women.
Yes.
And in Nigeria, we're always crying that the government is over-bloated. So for me, it would have made more sense if they put the law for their own current set than giving them extra seats. So people will now, unfortunately, think about, they are now bringing more people to eat money.
I see your point. Thank you, Romeo. Thank you.
How do we clear these issues?
Thank you. Sis, over to you. I mean, Romeo, if you could even start from Romeo, he said, why create an extra seats for women? You're actually making us look like we're expanding government. Why not just make it 50-50 with the seats that are there?
Yeah, exactly. I agree absolutely. It actually makes very little sense. So it's rather, so we're not going to share with you. We're just going to create more space for you. I mean, how does that make any sense? I agree absolutely. No matter what, and I think that's one of the things that we have to, as our democracy develops, we need to keep trying to claw back the space for women in that democracy. No matter what happens, we're 50% of the voters. At least we're close enough to 50% of the voters. So we have to start using our votes wisely. There's no reason, it's not something to be embarrassed or to be bashful about. We will start to use our votes wisely. And I think once you start to see these kind of grassroots, situations where girls from the grassroots are beginning to speak out, young women, I'm sure other women will start to speak out, but we need to. And those are the kind of things that we need to tell people like Hamdia and, colleagues and women in the grassroots, that we need to start using our votes wisely. Parties, governments that don't embrace women as part of mainstream, not something that you create a special place for, then we really do not deserve our support and we shouldn't give it. And I actually think, with a program like yours, as we get closer to the next set of elections, these are the issues that we really need to put out for women. So thank you very much for that, Romeo. Excellent. The second caller talked about education. It's really a no-brainer. He's absolutely right. And I think it's time we start to demand, because we're actually seeing that that's probably why there's so much more progress in the southern part of the country, especially in the southwest, because of the education policy and because of the now child labor laws, where if children are seen out of school, it's the parents that are held accountable for that. We need to start to look at free and compulsory education for women, in fact, children across the nation. But especially in the North, where we're talking about 20% literacy rates, we need to make sure that women do get an education. It's absolutely crucial. And you actually see the difference in a generational shift. One person. It's my personal story. My father's from northern Nigeria. I came from a family of Islamic scholars, so I didn't actually think there was any need to educate women. But my father had insisted, always told my mother, you must do that. I'm the last girl not to get married at 13. The difference is clear. All the women in my father's family are now educating their daughters. It just took one child to make a difference.
Excellent.
And then for the first caller, Mrs.
Oboli. Yeah.
Yes. When she was saying that we support, no. We do 50-50. Women, so we are not just helpers. If you look at the Nigerian woman, we are the ones carrying the economy on our back. We're the ones who bring up the children. If you ask 50%, 100% men today, at least 60-70% will tell you they were educated by their mothers. So we are more than just supporters. We have paid our dues and we earn the right to 50% representation.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm coming to your calls. I've only got a few minutes. Hello.
Hi, Sisi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my dear. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Is that Rapochuku?
Yeah, Rapochuku.
Go ahead, Rapochuku. You have a minute, quickly.
I respect my regards to your guest. Well, I mean, I appreciate your efforts, you women, coming out speaking the truth. I mean, loud and clear. I so much appreciate it, and I respect the opinion of Mrs. Obori.
Okay.
As well. This is a wake-up call.
It is.
All meaning for Nigeria, all well-meaning Nigeria, not only state government. It's a fight.
Yeah.
Anywhere you are nooks and corners. Yeah. Come out and let us win this fight. Because, I mean, especially child abuse, is before it gets rid of our society.
Indeed.
We should all come out and fight it. It's a wake-up call for everyone. Because I mean, child abuse. We will fight and get rid of our society. Get it out of our society before it gets rid of us.
Thank you very much,
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, God bless you. Right, I'm going on a quick break now, I believe. I've still got a minute. Let me try and stick another call in there quickly. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Hello, what's your name?
Yeah, good day.
Good day.
You know why? Let me just be plain.
What is your name?
Why all these things are not working?
What is your name?
Okay, Chukwuemeka.
Chukwuemeka, go ahead quickly.
Yes, do you know why all these things are not working?
Tell me.
It's because there's a division.
What's the division?
Division in between men and women.
Which is what?
Everybody is calling on the phone saying women, women. Stop. We people should stop saying women, women.
What should we say?
It's human. It's human. If the government is well, no child abuse, whether male or female. If the government is well, if the law is working well, no child abuse, no human abuse. That is where she will be targeting on.
Okay, we gotta go. Have I still got 50 seconds? Right, seconds, quickly.
Okay. In politics,
2 seconds.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Push women where they can get money. Money controls the world.
Hey, this dollar wahala now wow. Everything just dey expensive. Na true, but make we look am well, my brother. See, your shoe na from Italy, your shirt na from Turkey, your phone na from China, your car na from Japan. In fact, everything wey dey your body so na import dey import am. Abegi, how that one take consign dollar? If price of dollar go come down, e get many things wey we suppose do. Like wetin? Number 1, we suppose dey export pass how we dey import. Number 2, we suppose dey buy more made in Nigeria products. Number 3, make we support local business. And number 4, if you want send dollar and other foreign currency enter Nigeria, make we dey use international money transfer agents. You talk dey make sense oh, country people, make we join hand reduce the pressure on our naira, grow our export market and increase forex inflow. Now our hand e dey oh. This message now from Bankers Committee.
It's that time of the week again. Are you ready to dive into the wide world of news? Join us for the Hat Fact Awards every Friday at 3 to 4 p.m. on Nigeria Info FM. We are breaking down the best, the worst, and the downright Nawa stories that had everyone talking this week.
No, wow. Some people can do zero.
From jaw-dropping headlines to the most outrageous events, we've got it all covered.
And y'all know how we do it, so let's get it on.
Tune in as we celebrate the stories that make you laugh, cry, and shake your head in disbelief. Whether it's the latest viral sensation or the craziest political blunder,
we are going to provide you with insecurity.
We'll give you the rundown on what's hot and what's not. And guess what? You get to vote for your favorite stories in our weekly awards. Who will take home the coveted title of the best stories of the week, and which tale will earn the infamous worst story of the week? Hat Facts Awards on Nigeria Info FM, where we turn the news into entertainment.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria
Welcome back to Danfo Conversations, right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back to Danfo Conversations. My guest is my sister in everything, especially gender. Right, Mrs. I'm going to give you 2 minutes because we've got a time check at 2 minutes to actually respond to the last call. And please, people, you can send a WhatsApp because I understand I should read out the number 0809-597-5805 and I'll read out your messages after the news. You have 2 minutes, my sis.
So I think what the last speaker is saying is that why are we saying women, women, women? Well, but what we're asking for is that they just need to balance the opportunities. Don't tell her, let's not say that women don't want to go into politics because we don't know that, or that they need to go into business. Just level the playing field, give women the same opportunities as men, and then see what happens. But you can't restrict our numbers, you understand what I'm saying, or respond to us differently when we speak out and then expect the play. You have to level. That's all we're asking for, is level the playing field. Once you level the playing field, because I can tell you for a fact, and everybody who goes home today should go and do that survey. We, Nigerian women, are carrying the economy on our backs. We are the ones bringing up the children. No, so we're not supporting, we are actually partners in this whole process, especially at home. So why should it be any different in public life? That's what we're saying.
That's all we're saying. Yeah, we're just out. Let's take our place. Stop blocking us from taking our place. Because, believe you me, there's a lot of effort that blocks women. I'll be right back after this time check, sis. Don't go away. We're almost done. Thank you.
Start today with confidence with the restoring power of Vaseline Petroleum Jelly. Keep moisture locked in all year round.
Get breaking news, updates, and the best of talk.
Women have to work twice, even thrice as hard for them to get things that just come so naturally to a lot of men who feel that leadership is their right.
You were in prisons for how many years? For 6 years, 8 months. Were you going to court from prisons then? Yes, but before I started court, it took me 2 years. Just being in prison? Yes. Without your case even start at all? Confinement. You were there? Yeah.
Here on your number one station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. The news update on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Lagos, the time is 2 o'clock. Here are the headlines. As Ondo State prepares for its off-cycle governorship election tomorrow, President Tinubu has urged all political stakeholders to uphold peace and decorum. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies say they are ready for the November 16th governorship election in Ondo State, as INEC says it has distributed sensitive materials for the Ondo State November 16th election. Civil society organization Yagar Africa calls on security agencies to arrest and prosecute violators of electoral laws during Saturday's governorship election in Ondo State. A proposed national budget of 47.9 trillion naira has been approved for the 2025 fiscal year, while Federal Executive Council also approves $2.2 billion financing program for external borrowing, including a potential Eurobond and Sukuk bond offer. Nigerian Governors' Wives Forum urges governors and state legislators to implement the 6-month pay maternity leave policy in the 36 states of the Federation, while House of Reps Committee on Health Institutions calls for more investment in human resources to stem the Japa syndrome in the medical sector. Total of 26 agripreneurs have received 100 million naira grants to boost food production and security in the state. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency is working towards developing emergency victim protocol for the state. On the foreign scene, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's choice of Tulsi Gabbard as U.S. intelligence chief has sent shockwaves through the national security establishment. And a military court in Moscow has sentenced a 43-year-old woman to 8 years in jail for posting anti-war comments online. Those are the headlines. This is still Danfo Conversations with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Yvonne Ohifel.
The telenovelas of radio information. More news.
More conversations.
More information.
More sports.
More talk.
Nigerians station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Danfo Conversations. We are in the last 20 or so minutes. Okay, you can send a WhatsApp to 0809 597 5805. The female only line is 0201 465 7190, and the male line is 0201 2770 993. Let me come to your calls. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Good afternoon. Please turn off your radio.
Okay, yeah. Please.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm just trying to say, I understand what she said is that we have to create a level ground. Please, we'll be lying to our women. We'll be lying to you people.
How so?
Hello?
How so? I'm listening.
Read the Bible. The woman's hand is a creative. A man manufacture, that's a man creative, then the woman manufacture. Push our women. That is what the Chinese and the Lebanese people, not Lebanese, this did. They push their women into creating.
So I need to understand creating what, because I'm kind of lost.
Market. Okay, if you go into the local markets, the streets around you, majority of what the women have been doing since the 1980s, the men are doing it now. If you go into the market, the women are what? The men are what? Now the men they open a gusi. The women are no more doing it.
So,
we've been lying to them. We push them into corporate world.
Okay, so what you're saying is women should go back into the market and get out corporate space.
No. What I am saying is that women are the ones.
Oh, the men, we men. Okay, I'm with you.
Okay. Sorry. I said,
yeah, because it sounds like you're saying women. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I said women. Those days in the older generation, they knew what they did. They pushed women into creating. If you go to the Bible, you will see it. They create the belts. They create things that which people.
I need you to wrap up. Yeah.
And that's being a CEO. A woman cannot be a boss. A woman is a CEO. A woman creates belts for men. Creates belts for fishermen. A woman creates sew clothes. Now our women are not just doing all those things. We push our women into corporate world. See, let me tell you in politics.
I need you to wrap up. Yeah.
Okay, if a woman wants to enter politics, nothing can hold a woman not to enter politics. She has every emotion. Emotion is the biggest force on earth. Emotion can create wars and can stop wars. We stopped our women to know what emotions is all about. I'm sorry that I'm shouting. I just want to speak so fast so that to cover up.
Yeah, I need you to wrap up. The lines are going.
Yes, what I'm trying to say is, please, I beg you, we are lying to our women. Go to countries. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not quite sure if that is clear, but let me answer another call. Hello.
Hello, Sisiogi.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Sisiogi, with the red big lipstick. I greet you.
I greet you too. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yes, this is Danpi from Igodo.
Go ahead, Danpi.
What that last caller was trying to say is that the men are not pushing out the women to get more exposed in so many things. I think that's what he's trying to do.
Right, he's saying that the men are not encouraging, rather than pushing, encouraging the women to be exposed to all.
The last caller was
but then where does the CEO come into? He said women can't be CEO.
No. He said women are CEO. Women are doing better.
Okay.
I think to summarize what he is saying, I think he's trying to say that men are not giving the women chances.
Okay.
They are not giving them chances.
That in countries where women are given chances, countries are doing better.
Get exposed in so many things.
Okay, all right.
So that's what I feel that he's trying to say, to summarize it all.
Okay,
and again,
what did you want to say?
What I want to say is that I think women don't really support women. That's why most of these things are not working. Women going into politics or doing some certain things in terms of fighting against child abuse or women abuse or women against violence group. Women, when you see them doing it, they will say, Emma worry, all those kind of things. They will say they are disturbing themselves. You are disturbing. So women don't really support women.
Okay,
that's the angle I don't like.
Okay,
and again, I think this gender-based violence thing should be taught in the schools.
Absolutely.
So that the level of exposures will be captured by the children.
Yeah.
So that they will learn more about it.
Excellent.
That's just what I want to say.
Thank you, Dan P. Thank you very much. Sis, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to respond to that, and then we've got WhatsApp messages. I'm going to ask Zainab to read out the WhatsApp messages.
Okay, so very quickly. The last gentleman who spoke,
Dan P.
Clarify. But I'm thinking, so I'd like to respond to when he said women shouldn't be in politics. I think at least that one I heard quite clearly. Because, I don't think that anybody should be defining what spaces women need to be in. Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister of England for many years. Indira Gandhi.
Ellen Sirleaf.
Ellen Sirleaf. Angela Merkel.
One of the best.
Yes, exactly. So there's so many like that. I think, to stereotype us is actually part of the challenge. I think level the playing field, give women opportunities. People will start to gravitate to areas where they feel that they are making progress. And then the bit about women being in the marketplace, there's still structural, even when women get in the marketplace, even in the marketplace, there are barriers that they can't go beyond. I've been asked before by a bank to bring a guarantee from my husband. I mean, really? Yeah, exactly. So you can imagine what
the madness, of course.
Yes, exactly. So there are so many structural challenges that make it difficult for women to go beyond, whether it's in the marketplace, either in the corporate world, wherever. You understand what I'm saying? And all we're saying is that remove those structures, level the playing field, and then see what happens. So that for me is my answer. I wish I could actually remember the question that.
You'll be able to remember this. We've got WhatsApp messages.
Yes,
quickly.
we do. From Benita IJ says, "Good afternoon, my lovely sis. This is Oge. I'm shocked hearing this. It's shameful to treat a woman that spoke about her concern and that of her community this way. I salute her courage. This shows the women in the North are beginning to know their rights. Every woman should know that speaking out is not a privilege, but is their right as a human." Benita EJ.
Thank you, Benita.
All right. Good afternoon, Sisioge. Our women should be given chance for us to experience real change. Austin from Isolo. Okay. Okay, for now, that's cool. Okay, we have another one. Danfo conversation. Thanks, Ms. Ireti Bakare-Yusuf and Mrs. Oyebode. We need to do more to protect female gender. Just like you said, we need to keep on talking about it. Every state needs to have law to go against sexual offense against women. Thanks, Ayo.
Excellent. Sis, I'm going to ask you, I think Dan P ended by saying we need to take the subject of GBV, gender-based violence, into schools. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yes, that's what I wanted to remember. I thought it was an excellent point. I think we need to start to teach it very, 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 very young so that everybody becomes socialized into and then these societal norms start to develop where there's an understanding that these are the things that you just can't do to women. And whenever I sort of see where a man sort of challenges, why is it always about women and so on? The truth of the matter is, look at the statistics. Everywhere there's a disadvantage, women tend to be much more disadvantaged than men. I remember once somebody said, under the foot of every poor Nigerian man is a woman. And that's the reality. So there's disadvantage across the board, but that disadvantage hits women in multiple folds. The statistics are there. So where there's gender-based sexual violence, against men maybe 10-15%, against women is like 60-70%. So I think that's one of the things that we also need to understand. Yeah.
Excellent. The idea of taking Dampi, thank you so much for that suggestion, sis. I am going to be talking to you after this show about that whole school thing. How we, even if it's just Lagos State, that we start to go into schools and do classes with them. The lines are going. Let me just answer a couple more calls. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from, please?
My name is Pastor Meka Obiora, calling from Ireland.
Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, please, I thank you and thank your guest Oxford who have been...
Mrs. Aisha Oyebode, yes.
Yeah, thank you. So, but I also like to let my voice to this gender issue. I thank God for the lady from the Sokoto, it means the light is coming up where people can be able to stand and air their view. But it's also a pity on the other end that somebody speaks his or her mind and the person will be picked up, for airing his or her view that I don't like this. It's like you telling your daddy, I don't like this. I don't like this, He or she keep doing it, you understand me? So it's really something that we need to, And moreover, I would also like to commend. There's a skit I watched just a minute, please. I watched a skit where a man was telling a girl, please go and dress properly, and there are women there, they didn't come out to support, to say, a girl, go and dress, go home, go and dress properly. I think this moral is going down. I would like also that women should be able to support women to dress properly on the streets. It will help our society, because Nigeria, we are going somewhere, and I know that the light will shine in this country. It won't be long.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sis, I have a message here from Eka. She said, been listening. I'm enjoying listening to your guest, Mrs. Oyebode. I particularly like how she put that leaders feel entitled. The idea of taking gender-based violence awareness to schools is a brilliant idea. So, yeah, I don't know whether the last caller, I can't remember his name now, whether you want to respond to him, because it was interesting what he said. I'm sure I saw you kind of listening intently, if I may say.
Do you mind? I'm just trying to recall now what he said. Sorry.
Well, he actually, I think the last one that I remember is when he said, the way women or a girl was dressing. He saw a skit and somebody was telling her off about the way she dressed, and the women didn't come out to support the person telling her off.
Okay, so
it's about legislating for how women dress, really.
Exactly, that's number one. Number two, I think if there's a moral code being broken, or the responsibility to correct is that of both men and women. And I think this argument that women have to especially come out and support women is neither here nor there. The responsibility is across board for both men and women.
Absolutely.
If it was the reverse, we would expect support for both men and women. Yes, I agree that society tends to sort of found more where they feel that women are conforming. That's not what we really are talking about here. What we're talking about is about rights and responsibilities. We're talking about protection of the vulnerable. We're talking about a woman who's being victimized for speaking out, and the level of it. They actually, when they beat her up, by the way, they actually left her for dead. Wow. So we're talking about major, we're not talking about just mild beating, we're talking about major beating. And so this prevalence of, the gender-based violence, is something that we need to address. And I feel that, with time there'll be a cultural shift and, mindset shift. But for us to get there, we need to level the playing field for women. We're not asking for too much. We're not asking for advantage. We're not saying put us ahead of men. We're saying, you know what, just give us the same opportunities as men, and then let's see what's going to happen.
Indeed. I mean, listen, Lagos, Nigeria, wherever you're listening to us from, Hamdia Sidi is her name. She asked a governor for accountability. She demanded for good governance. She spoke to women and said to them, go and get educated. She was not only arrested, She was then beaten up and left for dead. If you are worth anything, if you have ever been a member of this Danfo, as you know, we go jiggy jaga jiggy. I need you to go jiggy jaga jiggy on social media. Hashtag Justice for Amdia City. I need you to hashtag it. You can go. I did a post on my Twitter, or you can do your own post. I just need you. We need you to actually put the hashtag out there, because we're talking about Hamdia, but there are many Hamdias. And you all know every so often I come on here and I talk about another one. But I want you to sit back and think. All the Amdia cities that we're not getting to hear about. And this is where the real injustice lies. This is why when they say injustice to one is injustice to all. Please, I need you to go and do that. Amdia City was left for dead. She didn't abuse anybody. She didn't break any laws. Nothing. She just said to the governor, this is what you did to get our votes. Why then are you not living up to your expectations? Why are you not living up to your promises? Why are you not delivering for us? Have I got a message there?
Yes, we have a message from Japheth. He says, good afternoon, Ireti. I don't think going to school is the best way to create awareness for GBV, but going through Ministry of Education and NOA would be the best option to approach school. Starting with Commissioner of Education is a good push.
Thank you very much. We'll take all advice on board. Now, I'm going to let my sister... Well, I've got no calls. We've read the messages.
One more.
We have one more message?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
good afternoon, Ma. I think women, especially our girls, should stop putting on scanty dresses to avoid all this rape and all. Stop all these half-naked dresses in the name of copying the West.
Okay, before I let my sister come on to that, I've got to respond to that because you all know how I feel about this. So here's a girl. I literally... And I will tell all of you, and I'm sure I've told you all today before in the past, that I would go clubbing, and I promise you, when my body was Beyonce before Beyonce knew she was Beyonce, right? I would wear short skirt, short dress. I would literally wear a bikini top and a pair of jeans. I would dress according to my age. I would go night clubbing. I would dance. I would get on a night bus in England. Do you think that gave anybody the right not only to attack me but to rape me? You need to get that out of your head. It is not about what anybody wears. You must stop this. Women get raped in hijab. Right. How much more covered can you be in hijab? I mean, literally, you are covered from head to toe, and women still get raped. So and that was from a woman. That was from a woman.
From a man.
Oh well, what can I say? Sis, I shall calm down. You're the guest, not me.
Let me even add that. And what about children that get raped? Did they ask for it as well? I think, those kind of statements are a bit worrying. And honestly, we don't need to be making. It has nothing to do. Everybody is entitled to say no.
Yeah.
It's their body. And if they say no, nobody has a right to violate them, irrespective of what it is that they feel that they're wearing. It's a no.
And when it's a child, yes, that's the point. A child.
Exactly. Are you telling me
how do you sexualize a child?
Exactly. Absolutely. So I think that we have to have a culture of zero tolerance for sexual violence. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that they feel, there has to be a zero tolerance, but that's the only way we're going to get beyond it. There's no excuse for it. There's no justification for it under any moral code.
Thank you. Thank you. Zero tolerance. You heard it again. I am reminding you. The hashtag is Justice for Amdia City. Please put it out there. She cannot suffer alone. She cannot suffer in vain. We need her to be free. And we must send a message to the governor of Sokoto State. Amdia has a right to her voice, just like every single citizen of Nigeria. That is the right that's given to us by the Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended. My darling sis, thank you. So I could go on forever. We could have this conversation, and I'm going to invite you back. We're going to have it again and again and again. Thank you so much. My guest today is Mrs. Aisha Oyebade. Remember the name. Go Google her.
Please, one last message.
Go ahead.
of Sokoto State. He actually has a responsibility to protect her. That is what we want to see.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Right, that is the end of Danfo Converse. See, when we go jiggy jaga jiggy jaga jiggy, when we go fearless, when we head to places that others have not headed to, when we collect, when we turn this Danfo into a space that protects and speaks up for the vulnerable, that means we are speaking up for every single one of us. When we actually rise above the parapet and take a look across Nigeria, actually realize that for every vulnerable person that you see, there are millions behind them. You see this Danfo, it's never going to stop. Thank you so much. I'll be back. Borderlines. Borderlines, it's an all-women affair. I didn't design it like that. It's just by sheer coincidence, right? Trump is president. Ha, ha, ha. Zainab is telling me to get off my chair. She's telling me, okay, go and have some lunch because you have borderlines coming off. My guest is Ijoma Oluo rather. My guest is Kelechi Okafor. You know her, she's British. My first guest at 4 o'clock is Kenim O. Yes, she did that documentary. Who is the best US president for Africa? We're going to have a fabulous time. Join me then. Until then, I'm going to get some food. I need to water my throat, so I'll be ready for you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Join me at 4. Bye-bye.
Talk 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's